So good morning. My name is Dr. Lisa McKee. I have a PhD in cybersecurity and over 20 years of experience. So we're just going to go through the panel here and give quick introductions. So do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Terry Green. I'm a CIO and CISO. I've actually am in my doctoral program, and I own a company called Light Technology Solutions that I actually have with my wife.
Hi, this is Swati. It's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm Swati Shinde. I work at Saregama as a software engineer. So I'm basically software tester. So I manage a quality team over there, quality management team.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wiley B. Oscar. I'm a manager at FedEx DataWorks, the global company FedEx. To note, I am here, and my comments today are my own and not of FedEx's, because this is very personal for me. I own multiple companies outside of what I do at FedEx, companies that I've started, and more importantly, my consulting firm. And I'm excited to be here to listen and learn from such a powerful panel.
Hello everyone, Ravi Teneti. I'm Senior Vice President of Engineering at Jory AI. We work in automation in AI for healthcare IT. As Wiley mentioned, my comments are my own, not a representation of my organizations. Excited to be part of this panel talking about a very important topic.
Great, thank you. Welcome all. So let's get started today with talking about careers, right? We all got to where we're at by different journeys, different school, different education, different career paths. Terry, do you want to get us started off? And what career advice do you have? What was successful for you to get to where you're at today?
I think it's actually doing something that we don't necessarily do, and is actually getting to know who you are as an individual. So my journey was a little bit different. I got to know myself, and I got to know my purpose. And when I knew my purpose, it was easier for me to walk into my domain. And my education came after that. I was actually a director with an associate's degree. And I was making buku money, but I still I wanted more for myself, so I just went further my education. Now I'm on my 6th degree.
Hi, how I started is I always wanted to be in science and technology. So my education path itself is in the science and technology. So my final education degree is MTech in science. So I did that, and of course after that I got recruited in the technology team, and I, slowly trained over and then started doing the software testing. So of course junior level se leke, then currently I'm at a manager level, and then that's what I always wanted to do. So that's how it has, came up to my mind, and that's how I have progressed with it. So it was always a short path that I wanted to do this.
Yeah, I think mine. I was very, very curious. I was kicking around a lot of cans, trying to figure a lot of things out, unsure of a lot of things. And just really finding allies and people who would invest in me and believed in me as much as I kind of saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. And so they started pointing me in different directions. So for me, my path took becoming an actor and a producer, nationally recognized in movies, so getting to the pinnacle of that for me. Then just really getting into the IT space is something I've done over the past 15 years, and being a leader in that space was important to me because of the influences that I had, who are always, which is my purpose for being here, has always been women. Of course, I have guys that support me and that are there with me for sure. But my greatest advocates, in terms of the ones that lifted me up the most and was there for me, was that. So just being pointed in those different directions caused me to go back and get my MBA. I want to work on a 9th degree, like Terry over here. That's awesome, sis.
I'm an overachiever.
Awesome. Yeah, but then getting with a company like FedEx was really helpful because you got a chance to see the global atmosphere, everything from security to procurement to almost any industry you can think of. A logistics company like that has access to data, which I'm a data-driven person, so that helped out a whole lot. And it caused me to just go off and try to experiment on things on my own, like starting companies ultrasound companies and different type of companies, but then consulting, which that's where the passion is, because you get a chance to go help people who were like me. Is the epitome of paying it forward, right? Is going and listening to the confusion, listening to all the different experiences that they've gone through, and just trying to lift that up. So that's a little bit of my story.
To me, in addition to the traditional skills that we focus on, like technical skills or functional skills, the thing that really helped me is to getting to know yourself, your strengths, what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and focusing really on the strengths and working with mentors and coaches and to kind of find workarounds to work with your weaknesses. So that has been a biggest factor in my 20 years of experience in IT. I have had mentors and sponsors who helped. I've had both male mentors and female mentors. When you think of mentors, it need not be very formal mentorship. People that you meet in day to day can teach you a lot. In fact, I developed empathy for the situations that I am not in from the people that I meet every day, including my parents, my mother, how she grew up, and my mother studied. After I was born, she completed her graduation. And so that's an inspiration for me to develop that learning mindset. And my wife, who has actually, studied and how she developed her skills. And my 8-year-old daughter now teaches me a lot about empathy for the situations that I am not in. So every single day, it's a learning process to learn about, how do you learn from others, and that makes you a lifelong learner. So I would say that is an important process in my career growth as well.
So a lot was said about mentors and sponsors, and so just for clarification, in case people don't know the difference, a mentor is somebody who's there to help guide you through your journey, whereas a sponsor is somebody that's speaking on your behalf and trying to help lift you up. And when you're in a room and your voice isn't being heard, then they're that advocate for you. So Swati, you talked about that. What mentors or sponsors did you have that helped get to where you are today?
Yeah, there are quite a few people in my life, who have helped me. If I have to talk about myself, I'm a bit introvert. Again, from being technical person, you're more about doing your things and representing it and all that. But speaking out loud in the meeting rooms or something like that was really difficult to start with. So there are people who were, helping me to say it and proving or giving me that confidence, saying that you can say your point, nothing is silly. So telling someone, that nothing is silly, just say your mind. And, giving that confidence matters a lot. So whenever you get some people like this in your life, that really helps. And then you know that, okay, whatever you're doing is not right or wrong, but yes, you have to keep doing to, reach somewhere where you really find that fulfillment. Okay, this is how, you get to this point. So that's how that mentorship has helped me.
You might, can I ask a question too to that? As one of the things that I hear a lot from a lot of the women that I might coach and consult with is that fear of speaking up, or fear like if I speak up,
Look silly,
maybe.
maybe.
Multiple reasons, right? And that they feel like their voice, they can't be as strong as they want to be.
Right.
As a male, sometimes in a room for me, I might feel the same way, right? But my struggle is different, right? I carry male privilege, regardless of race. I carry that. We can talk about cricket and basketball and football, and we can bond, talk about our wives, and we can bond and do those weird things, right? For women, can you just tell me a little bit more about that fear or that feeling like your voice is really suppressed, especially in the IT space as well?
Look, is it suppressed? No. Many a times, what the journey that I have gone through is I feel that I should not look stupid. That is first thing. If I say this, will they judge me? And is it the right solution? So many times for women, they think from the solution point of view. That's what I have seen. And many a times you need not to look for a solution, you just need to understand the problem. You know? And for that, we need to speak up to understand that problem. And since I said that, we look from solution point of towards the problem, that's where that struggle happens. Is this the right solution or that is the right solution? No, dear, plus let's understand the problem. So always need somebody who will tell you that let's understand the problem. And when that happens, you are automatically confident. You know that, okay, this is what we are here to, figure it out. And then solutions can will happen.
One of the things that I've experienced is the fact that I feel like it's not status quo for everybody. Like if men speak up or a little bit more vocal about their opinions, it's acceptable. But when women do that, then it's like, wait, no, you just need to sit there and be quiet. Terry, what are your thoughts on that? Have you experienced that?
Unfortunately, I have not. I'm very vocal. And the truth of the matter is, I think it has something to do with the confidence I was able to build within myself first. So even moving forward, I found myself, I was a CIO for a school district, and I had a technology team, and I started doing meditation and yoga with them so they can actually become better people, not better technology people. They had to introduce themselves to themselves in the mirror. So when they were talking to me, they saw themselves on equal playing fields because I'm just a human. And those were the skills I kind of embodied in myself. So just recently, I was just on a panel discussion, and it was a lot of heavy hitters on this panel discussion. And one lady that was in cybersecurity at the White House, she tapped me and said, "Can you be my mentor?" And that was one of those moments when you go, huh. So it really doesn't matter where you sit.
Right.
Is the shoes in which you walk in and the confidence behind in the shoes in which you walk in. So I think we as people and as women in total, I try to extract race just like I do sex, right? So the truth of the matter is, I play golf. I do basketball. I got a wife, right? So I have, I guess, some kind of female privileges that I probably shouldn't have, but I do, right? And I hone in on them. And then it's really about understanding your audience. So if we can extract our own bias, figure out, because we all have it, whether we want to admit it or not, right? You know how many times I can be talking to a counterpart that do not look like me. And they might not know that my great-grandmother is Caucasian, right? So even though my hair is curly, and I cover it up majority of the time, and so when I'm sitting here and I'm talking to them, I still can understand them from a certain lens because I was exposed to things that they wouldn't even understand the magnitude of, right? So I just try to extract it from that way and just move forward. But I haven't experienced that, so now I try to help other women not experience it either. But it's really self-awareness and confidence. So we built that. We can rule the world.
That's great. So Ravi and Wiley, you've talked about how you help women in your organizations. What programs or what things are you doing to help other women make sure that their voice is heard and their seat is at the table too?
I think one of the ways we can bring more women into tech leadership roles, that is the key point of discussion that we are having, is the first place to start is hiring. What are some of the systemic changes that we can incorporate in our hiring process so that more women are encouraged to apply, get selected to the roles that they are suitable for? As an example, in one of the organizations I worked, when I opened a role, I got 250 applications, and out of which only 30 applications from women. So the first question that we had to ask ourselves was there anything in the job description that we are making something wrong that actually keeps them away from applying for these jobs? So should we go back and look at the job description to make it more inclusive? And at the time of interview, are we having these diverse panels? Are our questions standardized so that we eliminate any kind of bias? We make it more fair recruiting process. The best candidate gets selected irrespective of anything else. And sometimes it's identifying the strengths. If a candidate is not selected for that role, if a woman applies for a role and this is not a suitable role for her, how do we identify her strengths and place her in a role where she could excel and move forward and move up in the technical career. So that is the first place to start with. And the other place is to have mentorship and sponsorship programs. Establishing a formal mentorship program where more and more women would have access, a platform to connect with senior leaders in the organization so that they can help them to mentor, not only mentor, sponsor and speak for them in the places, in the rooms where they are not represented.
No, I echo that because that is a huge problem. I have the same issue, and not just with the corporation that I'm with, but also in my business in general. Some of them are just women driven, so it's not a big problem. Sonography business is predominantly women, but in some of the others, the more technical side, you look in a room and you look at applications and you're like, man, it's a bullpen, it's a bunch of guys. And so I think that some of the things that I've done is just create pipelines to where those individuals are. How do you create a pipeline to the universities where you have, because their studies will show that women are in engineering, all across engineering. In my engineering program, there were women in there, and some of them are my closest friends, right? So how do I create pipelines where they are aware of some of these things? Also, when they are there in terms of mentorship, and I think when you explain mentorship and sponsorship, I think that was spot on. My thought was I can't just be a sponsor. Like I gotta go all the way in and get dirty, like in those rooms, those nuances, and when you talk about mentoring, how do I help this person to understand the landscape, not as a woman so much, because it's pretty obvious that in most situations, it's pretty obvious that it's a woman. But now you're in this room, how can I coach you in the moment? Using Teams, using Zoom, sending notes, hey, this right here, allow them to speak to this, or I think they want this information from you, or maybe you want to speak to something you said to me in our coaching session, to kind of just let them know. And we all could use it, but I think in some situations, women might need it a little bit more because they may not have the confidence of Terry coming into the gate, which is why it's awesome that you're paying it forward by talking back to them. They may not have the opportunities or the grit like Swati may have had. They may not have what Dr. Lisa has. Our responsibility at that point is to lean into that and be able to help their personal brand when they're not in the room. To go to those places and speak and say, we need you. To be empathetic and, guys, listen. Just listen. Whether you're passive or actively listening, listen, so you can understand what's happening, not just to them, but this stuff is happening in your space and in your rooms, so that you'll know what culture you're building in that space. You'll know whether you're building whether I'm building a space where the women that I have feel confident to speak up, feel confident to take chances and be curious and not feeling like they have to be perfect. I'll end with this. There's a statistic that I read that said women feel like they need to be roughly 80% prepared for a job or opportunity before they even go for it. Apply for it. Men feel like they need to be about 40%, and they go for it and apply. When they reverse engineered this is for all of us in the room, men and women. You raise your kids. When a little girl jumps on a table, you tell her, get down, she doesn't belong on the top of the table. When a little boy, this is in the stat, this is part of the context. When a little boy jumps on the table, you tell him to get down, he might hurt himself. So you're raising girls to be cautious and careful, and you're raising boys to be fearless. And that translates into those numbers. These numbers were taken by a global statistic. The reality is, we all know that everyone knows that you don't have to be perfect for a particular situation. You just have to be ready when that opportunity shows up for you.
No, I think that's a great comment. Some of us were actually talking about that at breakfast this morning. So yeah, very spot on about that. And I think, Ravi, that goes back to what you were talking about, where when you get applications, more are men, because that 40% is just like, I'm gonna just toss it out there and see where it splatters, whereas more women are a little bit more reserved. So Terry, when we talk about some of these things and going for those positions, right, a lot of us are going for positions that are, maybe middle management or executive positions. What does a leader look like for you, and what are things that you're doing to help shape that?
That's a great question, but can I piggyback off something you
Absolutely.
said first?
No, Terry.
I'm doing it. So I'll tell you one thing. I remember, I remember it was a job. I was still in college, right? So I was junior in college, and I was going to be the assistant chief engineer of the radio station, right? Mind you, I did my internship freshman year when they told me I couldn't. I lied on my application. That was the first year. They took 2 interns.
We're not condoning lying, guys. Okay.
They can't get me down. So that was the first time WGN took 2 interns, and I'll never forget. This guy was from DePaul, and he said, "What school you go to?" And I was thinking to myself, "You're an idiot. I'm a freshman." I didn't say that though, but I was thinking it. And moving forward, I realized as I was developing, and I was growing, I applied for a director position, and I was talking to a VP, and he literally told me he wouldn't hire me because I would show that he wasn't doing his job good enough. So sometimes, you have to be able to you have to learn your audience. But it's very important as a woman that we understand the culture of the organization we're trying to get into. Maybe that culture ain't the right one for you. So you do have to do your due diligence, and you have to do your homework. And I remember one time I went for it. I'm very technical. I'm very technical, right? So one thing, I was in a technical interview. They didn't give me one technical question. And then the guy said I wasn't technical enough, so I hacked him before he got out the door. And then did not take the job. So it's about how we actually stand up for ourselves as well, too. I gave him back his credentials. I just showed him he wasn't technical enough to stop me. So the truth of the matter is being able to pay attention to those nuances helped me become a better leader. So now to go on to what you're actually saying. So when I look in totality, I don't just look at the credentials that lie before me. I look at the individual, because black and white is black and white. That paper can say a lot of good stuff, right? And people can go Google it right now. AI can create it, as you know, right? Mm-hmm. And it does not mean that's really representing the person that's on the paper. So I started to ask them, I asked 3 different questions. One about drive results. One about something personal, a personal achievement, to be able to kind of figure out what do they do outside of technology, so I can be able to figure out how creative and innovative they are. What are their career aspirations beyond me? And to be honest, if I'm talking to somebody that did tell me they don't want to be me, I don't want them to be in my company. Because I don't want you to be stagnant. I want to see you grow. And even if you are technical, you should say CTO if it's not CIO. Because you have to see yourself higher than you will ever be. And then from there, I can be able to put the floor behind you to help you get there.
Swati, what about you? What does a leader look like for you?
Yeah, leader is definitely someone who gives you the opportunity and is not scared of that you will take off a job. Definitely not. But that happens. And you are still lucky enough that boy or the man was saying it upfront. There's so many times I have seen in social, events also it happens. They'll give you some other reason. They'll say that the shift timings are not matching. Okay, no, this is not exactly what we are looking for, and something like that. So they'll go diverse that thing, and they say that, no, you're actually really good than what we are looking for. So definitely these kind of things happen, and they do happen. So leader is someone, should be able to looking for a bunch of people who can replace him, because when you have those people in the room, the leader can grow, because there's someone who can actually look after for your jobs and your work things and your task and whatever it is, and then he can spread horizontally, vertically, and he can look after more things that he can bring to the team. Mm-hmm. So that's how leaders should actually
Everybody
lead
needs a
the
succession
team.
plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite is you're overqualified.
Yeah.
What does underqualified look like?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand. So Ravi and Wiley, what are you looking for in leaders when you're hiring women for some of these positions on your team?
Wiley, you
It's
wanna
not
go
a trick
first?
question.
Wiley went dancing on her.
No,
Yeah.
just
So-
want to make sure it's going to be impactful. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, when it comes to technology, right? So leaders, we are looking at next generation of leadership in technology because we are in AI-driven world, innovation. All of these things cannot be realized if you don't have diverse teams, because you have to have diverse people who can bring different perspectives based on their different experiences. That siloed thinking cannot build the future. The future is built on innovation. So when you're looking at recruiting leaders, leaders who can bring diverse perspectives, that's number one. At the same time, who has empathy and understanding to encourage a different perspective. It comes from different experience. A person who, for example, Swati, you talked about the reasons for elimination. Instead of searching for reasons for elimination, why don't you look at that person's strengths?
Or their
and
weaknesses.
and place and suggest where they can excel, right? That's the number one job of leadership. Leadership is not elimination, leadership is inclusion. So that is the first thing that I would see when I recruit a leader, whether it's male leader or female leader, to build the future that we are all trying to build with technology.
I think similar to what Terry was mentioning as well. Just really looking for. I'm super intentional about coming into a space and looking and saying we need more women in here. I'm super intentional about that. And that sounds contrived to some, and it's going to feel contrived. But when you've been marginalized, it's necessary. So for me, I look for those strengths. I understand those weaknesses, and I look for someone that's coachable. I look for someone that has a certain level of tenacity and drive about them. It doesn't have to be as pronounced as some. Sometimes it's a little bit subtle, but that is my responsibility to find that and figure that out. That's why I've taken the job or the role as a leader is to do that, and I take pleasure in doing that. That's not hard work to me. That is fun. To be able to talk to everyone and figure out what they're going through, what their past was like, where their roadblocks, where their triggers, all these things. Try to find out, figure out, and then coach to those things. Yeah, you've dealt with I think we've all dealt with someone that's like, I can't help you because you're going to replace me. You've dealt with that insecurity before, right? That's all it is insecurity. All right, don't bring that with you here. And now I'm trying to show this particular person, here are some opportunities where you can flex your abilities. Here's where we need you in this particular space. That is dirty work, meaning you got to be able to have those tough conversations, because this is not about placating. It's not about complacency. It's about challenging, because those individuals who exhibit those type of skill sets where they're driven, they're motivated, they're technically savvy so they can do the job, and bringing them in the room and just really supporting them in that way. So I think that's the way I see it.
That's great. So we have just a couple minutes left. And as we wrap up our panel, I always find it that as leaders and as technologists, technology is changing so rapidly. Yeah. And it's important that you stay current and stay relevant, whether that's through, training, education, certifications, programs like this. There's many, many different ways. And I also think that to be successful and a leader in what we do, it's the soft skills, right? We don't talk a lot about that, but it's the soft skills and how we treat people and the conversations that we have that are just as important, if not more so, than the technical skills. So if you would each just take a moment and just share what final advice do you have for other women that are sitting here listening to this and go, I want to do that and I want to be that person and inspired by this. How do we help them?
Well, I'll start, and Dr. Lisa hit the nail on the head, right? Soft skills are the one thing school can't teach, right? So technology is teachable. And a lot of times, technology have been deemed as we talk at people, not to people. So being able to kind of take out nuances, just taking a moment to understand who you are, work on your weaknesses and figure out how you can turn them into your greatest assets. So if you know you don't communicate well, take some public speaking classes. Think about what you aspire to do, because you may have to speak in front of other people, which could also talk in the mirror. I don't care if you do affirmations to yourself. They're still building up your speaking confidence. Write down notes if you're not a person that actually communicates well via email. Evaluate the tone in the message, because sometimes it's not the words, it's the punctuation. So being able to understand that is really important as we try to transcend and teach those soft skills.
Good points.
Yeah, I'll always say that, keep upgrading to the newest technology. It need not to be 100%, but you should be aware of it. So there are certifications available, there are some standard programs available, there are, boards which are running those exams and upgrading you for that. So that is one thing that we, as a woman, or rather everyone should do, is keep upgrading yourself towards the newest of the technology. Get certified. That certification gives you confidence. When you are certified, that eventually gives you confidence and, speaking up about that or implementing that newer part of the technology. So definitely, as you say, AI and everything that we are going towards that. Definitely, AI, what AI should do? Not write books for me, right? AI should do laundry for me. I'm very sure about it. Because writing a book, definitely I want to do. Okay. So that's where, the dedication and motivation, has to be segregated clearly what you want from technology. Upgrade accordingly, build it accordingly, and use it accordingly. That's what I'll always, say about technology and being updated.
Yeah, those are fantastic points, because that's 100% true. Especially with, well, not the laundry part, but that's kind of true too.
The
though.
laundry part was the soft skills.
That was a soft skill. No, but that 100%. I think that these points, you're an underdog. I'm saying it. Because I see it. I know it. You got to be better than most people in that room. So this upskilling that we're talking about, staying ahead and abreast of what's going on, it's almost like you have to get in there and you have to know that to a level that builds your confidence where you can speak on that confidently. I'm not saying you need to go out and conjure up something and dedicate yourself into being the perfect person. No, it's not about that. It's really about understanding that domain very, very well, so that when you show up and present, you can speak to it and defend yourself when it comes to that. That's one. Number two, I would say be fearless and extremely assertive about finding someone that can be your sponsor. Finding someone that look in their eye when they're talking to you is nothing more than they're inspired by you and they want to be there for you. And talk to them directly about that. Hey, I need a sponsor. I need someone. I'm trying to do this. What input do you have? It may not work the first couple times. That's fine. You're going to learn something from it and be fearless with it and keep moving along with the points that were said here, and I'm sure the point that Ravi is about to make.
Absolutely, those are all great points. I just wanted to conclude with a couple of points that are important for us. Organizations, first for the organizations. When we talk about soft skills, leadership skills, or communication skills, how do we establish training programs, development programs, which are customized for the specific problems that women face? So specifically customized for them. Do not throw some generalized programs at them and let them figure out problems, right? We have to be supportive of creating such programs. And number two, like Wiley stated, to the women in this room or who are listening outside of this room. So we need the skills that you bring to the table to build great future. So you have these soft skills within you. So be bold and go for the big, and you are going to get great success.
So Terry, Swathi, Wiley, Ravi, we're out of time, but this has been a great talk, and so thank you all for joining us today. And thank you, TechNet, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
women, y'all got the soft skills. It's the men that don't. So that's why y'all got to come and help them, okay?
This is true.
Thank you.